So welcome back, my nature lovers. How we all doing today? For those of you returning for another one of my videos, I want to say thank you. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I want to say welcome as well. This is Skelly by Nature, and I am Skelly. And are you a person who's curious about a beautiful, wonderful plant called wild lettuce? Are you looking for something that's a natural means to alleviating chronic pain and some other heavy ailments without using things like an opiate or something like that that has more damaging effects and more you have more the ability of falling under the control of that substance and being addicted. This video today, I'm going to show you a couple new other types of wild lettuce, because if you are a person who is familiar with wild lettuce, I'm sure, like me, when I first started looking into this plant, I was so very drawn into just three types, because you hear about the typical three types. You hear of Lactuca is the scientific name of wild lettuce. And then there's different species, which, we have Virosa and we have Canadiceus and Soriella. Those are the three that you always read about, until I finally started looking around and I was like, I have none of these in my area, but I do have these. I got two sitting right here, two different kinds sitting right here, and I got, another one sitting here. And the reason I'm doing this video is because you can go on YouTube and you can find videos on the other three that I mentioned. Virosa is you can look it up on the web, and there's, wild lettuce powder usually comes from the Virosa plant. Canadiceus is one that you find, all over the place, but, it's not very readily here. And so it was something that I never really expanded my mind, saying, you know what, there's actually hundreds of different types of wild lettuce, and they're all used and all can be used in the same way. So I want to introduce you to a couple that I have here, literally in my front yard. I find these plants when they're young and I let them grow, as you can see right here. I've got a couple more growing in my backyard. And I let those grow, and I'm going to show you what to do, I'm going to show you what to do with them and how to identify them. So the first thing is a lot of people, when I do and talk about this plant, a lot of people ask me, what is wild lettuce? You talk about this wild lettuce, what is it? Well, first of all, wild lettuce is a plant that the leaves, the sap that comes out of it, or the latex, the leaves themselves, the seed, it's been used for thousands and thousands of years as a medicine, as a replacement for like an opiate. It has many different uses. It helps with sleeping issues. It helps with coughing, people with asthma. It helps with UTIs and muscle and joint pains. Anybody with poor blood circulation. Like I said, it's also used to kill bacteria and viruses, and as well as, and this is, used in many different forms, as in, you can use it as a tincture, you can make an oil out of it, you can use it, you can actually eat the greens themselves, and another form too is, back in the day, the Indians around here used to actually cut this plant up and they used to smoke it. And don't be doing that, because if you smoke it, it does cause hallucinogenics. So unless that's what you're looking for, don't go smoking it. But this is what the shamans used to smoke to get into their proper state of mind, or they used to pack this in their peace pipe, and this is what they used as as their tobacco, or mixing with tobaccos. So this plant has many uses. I'm here to show you again how to identify this plant, what to look for, and then later on what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow up this video with another video and show you how to actually process this plant and how to turn it into a tincture or other forms of other forms of use that you can use with this plant. So let's get started. One, how do you identify this plant? Well, as you can see, this plant actually is very similar to a dandelion. They are in the same family. And one reason why they actually get, when they're young, a lot of times they get mixed up with dandelions because when they are very young and low lying to the ground, as you can see, I'll show you here. The leaves, I'm gonna put it against my shirt so you can see it. The leaves do have a similar shape to a dandelion. They do have what you call serrated leaves. That's for the most part. Most of them do have serrated leaves. They do come as well, as the leaves are immature. You can see down the bottom, they're heavily serrated down here, and as you go up the plant, it gets less and less serrated to a point where sometimes the fresh new lobes are actually a lobed leaf. And I'm going to show you another version of this plant that actually just has straight lobe. There's no serrated. But for the most part, most of the time you can identify this plant mainly by the way this leaf is. This is what you call a serrated leaf. They're very unique. They're very different. They usually have multiple wings with a lobed front tip. Right here, as you can see, it's got a nice sharp tip to it. Sometimes they're rounded. Each variety has different. Some varieties are tipped, straight tipped. Some are rounded tips. There's many varieties of this plant, and they vary by such little differences that gives them the separation of what they are, or their technical name. But anyway, so the first one that I'm going to introduce you to is this one that I'm standing next to. It's very tall. I stand 6 feet. This thing is close to 8 feet tall, and it's one of the most distinctive of the wild lettuce family, partly because of the height that it grows. This is what you call a tall blue. This is a shorter version of a tall blue next to me, which is not even finished growing yet, and as you can see, it's over 6 feet. This one here is 8 feet. I got a couple in my backyard that are easily probably 10 to 12 feet tall, and so these are called tall blues. And you can tell, like I said, you can distinguish that by the height. These plants do all grow eventually on a stalk stem. They do grow erect. And most of the time, they do have if you take the leaf and you flip it over, depending on the species that you're looking at, they vary. Some have a lot of hairs down the spine. Some have little hairs, or what we call trichomes. So that's what you're looking for. They're clean up, they're smooth up top on the leaf, but when you flip the leaf over, they are a little on the rigid side, and there can be, little tiny hairs. There is one form called prickly lettuce, which actually has kind of a little hard trichomes that you can actually feel when you rub down. But they have kind of, like I said, like hairs underneath. That's another identification that you can have to make sure that you're looking at the right plant. The other way of identifying these plants, like I said, most of them, you can have 3 or 4 different varieties growing right next to each other, and you don't have a clue which one's which, unless you do maybe have a tall blue. Like I said, tall blues grow a lot taller than the rest of them. They are the tallest version of wild lettuce. And so when they do grow, or they are growing, say pre-July, you have no idea what variety they are, and you really don't know until they actually start flowering. And as you can see, when they do flower, they start to get these little pods kind of sitting on the end, these little seed pods. The flowers open up. The flowers can vary anything from a white to a light pink, all the way up to these ones here are almost a velvet and a blue. You know, some of them do have a yellow. This plant that I'm standing next to is called this is actually an indica. This indica actually has a whitish flower with a yellow in the middle. So there's different variations when it comes to the color of the flower. But that is another way of actually, when they do flower, is how do I actually identify what species you're looking at. So I'm going to show you that. Again, you know, those are one ways of identifying it. And so the first thing that another thing that you can look for is what is the useful, or the most useful part of this plant. They actually do carry a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals. So like I said, they can be clipped and used and washed and cleaned in this, and they do have a you can make a salad out of this or make and eat it. It is a little on the bitter end, so if you do, just be prepared. They are bitter. Little balsamic vinegar with that can help bite that bitterness if you're interested in that. I like to take this plant, break it down, boil it, or make tincture out of it. That's how I like to use it. It's a little on the easier side to ingest. But the other way that you can tell that you're dealing with wild lettuce is, like I said, one of the part that's most the medical beneficial part of it is what we call the sap or the lactate, and that actually is, if you have this plant sitting in front of you and you were to cut a leaf off, you're going to start to notice a little bit of a milk. Okay? And sometimes that milk is white. And as you do more cutting of the plant, it kind of just starts coming out. And that's the sap. Some of it, sometimes the sap is white. But then you do have some other variations that the sap, as soon as it hits oxygen, it turns to a light tan, which is this one here, the indica. If I was to do the same thing here, I hope you can see it. That's kind of got a tan color to it. So that sap there is a tan color. What that does is it's oxidating, as you know, like I said, as it gets exposed to the oxygen in the air, it turns to a tan color right away. So that's the medicine part of these plants. That's the part that we're looking to extract out of this plant and to be able to use it, you know, in the medical term, in the medical way, of being able to make a tincture or use it like in replacement of an opiate. So, like I said, the first one that we have here is tall blue. Like I said, this has the leaves, and we're gonna cut it up, and we're gonna I'll show you again how to process this plant in the next video. I'm gonna take it apart, and actually, here's a great example of can you see that sap? That's the sap right there. That's what just dripped out of the little spot that I just. And, you know, another way that you can use this is actually just using you can actually just take that. It does have a little bit of bitterness to it. You can eat the sap directly. As well as I've also, in times before it starts flowering, but yet I know there's some decent sap. I'm a person with a bad back. I'll sometimes come home when my back is sore, pop up a couple leaves, take a little bit of the sap, and you can actually rub the sap directly right on your pain, and that as well will affect and help alleviate the pain in your back. So again, this is two types that you don't typically read about. So again, this is tall blue wild lettuce, and this is indica wild lettuce. Now, indica wild lettuce is slightly different than all of your other lettuce, and this is what we're going to talk about now. Um, like I said, the flower that grows on this is actually got a whitish flower. It when it does flower, and a lot of times when you'll see that there's actually a little bit of a yellow hue in the middle. Sometimes the whole flower looks like it might be yellow. But the distinctive part about this plant is, one, as you can see, this doesn't have serrated. See how it's just a straight lobed all the way across. They're a long lobe. They don't have any type of serrated edge to them. The edges themselves are actually fairly clean. And when you flip it over, these ones here, the hairs or the trichomes are actually very, very, very thin. You almost don't even see them. But you can kind of run your finger along, and you can catch the feel of one of them here and there. But again, the way you identify it is when you see it. If you do clip a piece off, you're gonna see that yellow, that tannish sap come out. And again, that's the medicine that we're looking for. So I hope, this is something that you like I said, if you don't have the 3 main ones that I mentioned earlier in the video in your area, keep your eye out for other versions. There's other variations. There's many variations of this plant. They all can be used in the same way, and that's what I'm looking to do, is let you guys to know that, open up your minds. I for a long time was only focused on 1 or 2 or 3 and could never find them. But I knew I had these in my yard, and I started researching them and realized that they're all still good. They all work the same. So again, I hope you guys learned a lot in this video. I hope this is something you guys maybe give it a try. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free, drop them below. Also as well, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, share this video, and I'm going to follow up this video in a couple days probably and show you how I actually process this plant and how I make a tincture out of it, and probably show you a couple other ways. So until the next video, be beautiful, be awesome.